I help you?
Yeah, may I talk to the manager or owner of your place there?
That's me, ma'am.
All right, I'm a guy, but hey, listen, somebody is using your secondary telephone number to scam people on Craigslist. Has anybody made you aware of that?
No, haven't heard anything about it. Well, what are they doing?
You list a secondary phone number that ends in the numbers 3628. Is that
I don't believe so.
on your website, on the Yellow Pages? Have you ever used that?
I don't even advertise with the Yellow Pages anymore. I never heard of them. Don't know anything about it. We're in the meat business.
I know. And when I Google this person's Craigslist ad, then your meat business, Bud's House of Meat, comes up.
I don't know. I have no idea what that is. I haven't had anybody else call or say anything about it.
Okay.
But as far as Yellow Pages, I used to advertise with them, and I had some internet stuff with them, but
Yeah.
I haven't done that in 2 years.
Yeah, it's probably just some website that somehow got some bad information. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cause you any harm. I just wanted to make you aware of it.
I appreciate you taking time to check.
Thanks for your help, Bud. This is a fictitious show, and that was Bud at Bud's House of Meats. A fictitious character we're adding to the show. Bud at Bud's House of Meat. He turned his house into a reputable business. There's already meat everywhere strewn about the house, drying, bleeding off, and so forth. So someone said, "Hey, Bud, you should call your house a house of meat.
You can take all the money that you need.
Yeah, a house completely made of
Back
meat.
your love for me and all your stuff and things. But if you can leave just one thing behind, or just don't take it with you, that's my baby's love for me. Take what you want, but you can't take me.
Bud's parents really didn't even go get the Name Your Kid book at the grocery store. It's not just Bud's. When we're out, we're out. That's our slogan.
Well, you can take my grand piano away. It will soon be in black and white, whose keys they are anyway. And if you can take my guitar
At Bud's, you'll want our meat in your ass. That's our slogan at Bud's House of Meat. My meat is so big it needs a house. There's your slogan. So now, but really, why Bud? Well, when you're fictitiously looking for someone to rent a room, and the only options are women parolees.
Take all your shit that smells like cat's pee. You can take the obelisk to their god and the destroyed couch you gave me. But there's just one thing you can use on your crusade. Is this song you can play while you take from what was once you and me.
Yeah. These women parolees, they have these ads online. They're pretty desperate. So you got to do some checking because the parolees need to allow 24/7 police access. And since I've, started making friends with the local police, and I'm not completely opposed, but the exchange student program pays $800 a head. But, who knows who's coming by. So what happened is I found this person that is pretending to be someone they are not. And I recorded the con also today on the show, and only today on this fine program, you will be able to be a part of this historic journey into constitutional law.
Yeah, well, you can take all the condiments and crepes. You can take all the soup cans and expensive wedding rings. But if there's just one thing I want you to leave, is to leave you with the memory of you leaving me. Because you can take all your money.
Okay, last episode we stumbled into an annual lecture given in honor of, yes, my great Uncle Bill. And this is the second event of this series I've attended. And the food is outstanding. And so we're going to get back into that. But right now, welcome to the show and thank you for listening. I do this show for you. Last week I had 2 anonymous donors contribute to the show. Thank you at paypal.me/Acme Singing Telegrams. I cranked out this song just for you. And my favorite band, Cake. song called Take. All right, so now let's get back in with Robert Adler, the current interim dean of the University of Utah. Now they're at the S.J. Quinney College of Law, and he is the distinguished professor of law, but also interim. So he has this other gig he's have to do. He's going to go start that movie career he's always wanted to get into. Let Frosty have this gig.
So I thought I would speculate a little bit about what William H. Leary might have thought about tonight's events. And for a perspective, for those of you who don't know his history, Dean Leary served as our dean for 36 years, from 1915 to
So I have this extra level that we can add to Mr. Leary. I have his ancestry chart pulled up. So basically he is Batman. His parents are my third great-grandparents, who were 55 years old when William Henry, came into this world on the 5th of June in Massachusetts. I have a haunting picture of the whole family circa 1920, and it's hard to say who's who or if William is even one of them, but there they all are. My dad said it was where the Irish in me comes from, and it is. His sister is identified. She is 47 in the photo. Her name is Nellie. She appears to be very stocky, tough, mountainous. He appears in 1913 in Salt Lake, and that's the same time my grandmother, Lorraine Leary, starts appearing in Salt Lake, 1913. But did he make the trek to be in this photo 7 years later, just after the death of his first wife? Who knows? Now, here to tell a little more about Mr. Leary, Mr. Adler.
One of Dean Leary's many contributions to the College of Law was promoting intellectual freedom. And he wrote that he would like to see a freer discussion of philosophical questions, a broader, more tolerant attitude, a deeper respect for others, a richer culture, and a truly intellectual atmosphere. So for more than a half a century, this lecture series has honored those aspirations for civil and respectful discourse on even the nation's most divisive issues. That is a tradition that is even more relevant today and that we continue this evening. And with that, I welcome my colleague, Frosty.
Frosty? Did he say Frosty? Frosty has no doubt heard all of the jokes about himself, referring to himself as Frosty.
Stay frosty, that's what the preacher man said.
Probably never while demonstrating case law, parity, and constitutional law as it applies to the First Amendment.
Stay frosty.
Hey folks, we gotta be clutching our good books before we's waving a shotgun in the other hand. Hey, I'm not stealing Oh Pretty Woman from Roy Orbison, and Van Halen never did. They did a legit, awesome cover of the better Van Halen cover songs. Ice Cream Man gets the cherry.
Oh yeah.
Get Frosty was just sort of an updated version. All right, let's hear it from Frosty.
Thanks to everyone. Thanks to all of you for coming out tonight. It's a real pleasure to be here and a real honor to introduce Professor Reed Siegel. Professor Siegel is a Nicholas Katzenbach Professor of Law at Yale Law School, where she teaches courses on constitutional law, anti-discrimination law, democratic constitutionalism, the constitution of the family, and law and social movements, among others. Professor Siegel earned her BA, Master's in Philosophy, and JD from Yale, clerked for Judge Spotswood Robinson on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, and began teaching law at Berkeley. Professor Siegel's writing draws on legal history to explore questions of law and inequality, and to analyze how courts interact with representative government and popular movements and interpreting the Constitution.
So what I'm about to do here is super serious. But because it's so serious, no one will take me seriously. And if I play it seriously, you'll just fall asleep. Except, maybe for this one person, Riva. And so now, the introduction she truly deserves. The ultimate professor of law. She puts the pro in pro-choice. Riva Siegel!
Okay, well, please, thank you each for wonderful introductions, and I don't know how many people noticed, but there was an astonishing rainbow outside, which was really beyond the beyond, by the way, the kickoff here. Okay, so here we go.
And yes, there we go. And she launches into her talk that she spent her lifetime putting together. Out of respect for her, I'm not playing it, and you can understand why. But I can tell you that most people found it very engaging, but also it went by so fast that if you lost the train of thought, you were out, man. She moved right along. You know, and basically what we're talking about are sexual and reproductive rights. Sexual and reproductive rights. Yes, welcome to Hot Roll. Wow, I promised we would talk about sex in all these episodes, and finally, after all the views I get for including sex in the title, now we're really talking about sex, sexual and reproductive rights. Guys, you're like, this does not... I tell you, I'm a spaceman, and I'm walking around I find myself all of a sudden, here I am. And I don't know that it's by mistake, nor do I know that it's on purpose. So I just report what I see and how it relates to where I am. This is the goddess of the legal world, and I'm standing there and I'm catching every word I can with my iPhone, because basically I know we lost you there because everybody was lost. But right off the bat, she's saying, look, we got this Trump guy, and he is rolling back everything. So more trouble in DC, and it doesn't look to be getting better. And if you didn't know what she was saying, it would sound like somebody was talking about a big old house and this litany of problems and updates and things that need to happen to this thing. And she's absolutely right. She herself later said, candidly though, that she felt like we were closer to 1971 than we are to 1975 in terms of our progress. And she's just in too polite of a position to say, look, and I don't want to put words in her mouth either, but I think what she's saying is, look, this guy is rolling everything back. He'll roll things back by underfunding it. He'll roll things back like putting DeVos, oh God. He'll roll things back by putting an incompetent person in the top seat. He'll roll things back by doing things to the letter of the law when the letter of the law is no longer a way we interpret things, i.e. immigration. And she says that Trump and McConnell have now roughly appointed 1 in 5 appeal judges. And these people who are trying to get a case through for reproductive rights are bumping into the ghosts of the past. They're putting Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court who had a yearbook page that bragged about their sexual exploits, and now these guys are going to be the guys who are going to decide about sexual reproductive rights. And I feel like she's saying that a lot of these people are getting in at the state court levels, and the state courts are where a lot of things are happening and where rights are granted. And there's another way where they can peg things across the board and read red and no one knows what to do. We're not adding anything new. We're just, protecting the border. Also, that's, I don't know who that is. That's his communications secretary. Okay? That's who that is. It's my impersonation of him. I was in a lean-to with him in the hills of South Dakota. I don't want to tell you why. We became close. That's how he sounds when he talks to me in lean-to at night when he's scared. But I heard him on the radio talking, and what is wrong with that when they're saying it's almost believable when he says, "Hey man, he's top cop, okay? He's got to enforce the law. Check it. So that's just what he's doing. So you do you, and he's gonna do the dude, man. He's not doing anything new, man. These are the laws. He may not even like him. In fact, probably didn't like him at all. But that's not the thing, man. He has to put that aside, because he's the prez. Check it. He's just the top cop, okay?" I just find it all very interesting that there I am, listening to this and wanting to be a part of it. But I can tell you right now that we're not even close to having laws that are going to give the rights to all men and women and children who are all created equally. Because in my mind, my children have rights regardless of age or gender. I have rights and are equal to my children's and my mother and my sister. And I get that I'm in an odd place. When you go through a pregnancy with your wife and go to all of the appointments and all the things, you're expected to say nothing. And if you do, it better be something. Because if you do say something and it's not anything, you're an idiot and you should just shut up. Okay? That's the general tone, okay? While I was listening to this and trying to really focus on what it was she was saying, and she's telling us that, look, the New York did everything they could to try and stop these guys with this Reproductive Health Act that just happened. And she'd say it's rolling things back for women, and it is. Men and women and children. Usually men and children should be more of the focus, you'd think, when it comes to contraception. All I did was have the opposite sort of situation when there was this child, and I reported what I felt as a reasonable human, and still feel as a reasonable human, that it was child abuse. For my son, it was drug abuse while he was starting to develop just a tiny beating heart. For my other son, I predicted and reported the sexual abuse that eventually did happen when he was 4 years old, where the chill of the North is just a bit too much for some. The law allowed this woman to take this baby away to another state. The law just allows for it. It's set up for that. The laws were designed by men back then. It's a fact. They weren't women designing the laws. And they were men who thought that there were children that came from marriages, and then there were illegitimate children, lesser humans. And they were just wrong on fundamentals that the laws just are not right. And women have been trying to tell us since. But as I said, I'm just a father in this strange, precarious spot. I'm coming from out of my industry. I mean, really, what does it sound like when a lawmaker comes from out of their industry?
This eagle's place is in the sky.
No, we need to be starting to thinking toward a future that is protecting a human being no matter what color of their skin,
you can see
eyes.
it in her eye.
gender, no matter how many fingers or toes they have.
We put her through. She soared above the lifted lamp that guards sweet freedom's door.
That is a human being.
The damps, the watchfires.
There's all these discounts that happen. Oh, you're disabled. Oh, you're too young. You're a woman.
In her eyes, she's not.
We've seen some of the greatest people on our planet have be women or have disabilities or be children. So we're saying they're chilled men and women, and we're all men created equally, but it's not getting through. Folks, we need to let her soar like she's never soared before. I'm proud that Riva talked about the Utah Pregnant Worker Fairness Act that has garnered some bipartisan support. And in Utah, no less. Utah is a tough one. The Trump administration has just sold the land off.
As the land beneath her sings.
You know that. The breastfeeding just became legal here. So it's hard to really read between the lines on what's happening here. God, Utah loves women in the workplace because they get paid less. Traditionally, Utah's cheap. If you want to know the whole reason behind that.
Far too young to die.
But you're fixing the old house.
She's still got a lot.
This country's far too young to die. What are we talking about? A Labrador here? No.
And we can make it if we try.
Make it. And there are some people who get, I guess, paternity leave, men, and there have some generous employers for that.
Both here and on the distant shore.
There are still some changing circumstances within our society.
Can't ignore.
Changing roles, changing norms. Things that are happening that will slip past a law that is so ground into gender and just in time for a society that is dead set on becoming gender neutral. By the way, this is former Missouri Attorney General John Ashcroft and his song. And I'm playing you this song in its entirety because I'm also going to play the reversed version, which is fascinating, and that's coming up.
From Rocky
Riva tells us that in the 70s, early 70s, they were saying things like, no longer is the female destined for the home and the rearing of children. And there was this new idea about what people could do in this world.
As the land beneath her sings, only God knows.
So she's setting that boundary. There's the boundary right there of why we're not closer to 1975 is that we haven't come close to that standard, that statement that was said, that summary I think she said she was going to bury, that basically says women are this thing's gonna flip and women are gonna come into the workplace. And then what are you gonna do? Then how is this role thing that you guys are trying to do with the law gonna work? Because it's not gonna work. And now, well, here we are. It doesn't work. If your car doesn't work, where are you? Still going down the, no? So what is the analogous thing to when we say that this isn't working, then who are the victims? Usually the children, offspring. Are there other victims? Yes, I just watched this video. It gave me some great statistics on that. 70% of the fathers are the victims. That are just, their family, they go away. We don't know what happens to them. Those are other statistics. But 70% of those kids become fatherless. And so maybe they're going to go offset some other because they go make babies with somebody else. I don't even know. But in 1975, they were starting to say, now, what if all these roles start to change? Because I'm a stay-at-home dad, and we didn't have those when I was growing up. That would have been just funny to say those words. And it still is funny to some people. But I have always volunteered my time for people who've stood proxy, I guess, for my family. I have energy for all these special people in my life, allowances of energy that the law doesn't see. So I give it away. You know, I didn't see these my sons. My sons were taken away, so I was a camp counselor for kids their age. I work every day with adults in recovery. And you know I'm a first responder. I volunteered in the emergency department for 2 years, mountain safety, and I've skied up on some tough disasters and tough human conversations. And I held out as long as I could. What Reva talks about when she talks about the changes in 1978 to Title VII that have to do with pregnant workers in the workplace, has to do with this event in 1978 when Congress comes in and says, nope, you've got this all wrong, and we need to add amendments, and we need to do all these things to further clarify equality.
Hey, everybody. So this time I just wanted to do an ode to former Attorney General John Ashcroft.
This is not
so
me.
Without any further ado, here goes.
This is
Eagle Soar, originally by John Ashcroft, and now brought to you by Laser Sweat.
Laser Sweat.
This eagle's place is in the sky. She's still got a lot of flying to do. You can see it in her eye. Though she's cried a bit for what we put her through, she's soared above the lifted lamp that the guard sweet freedom's door.
And so either way, there's going to be gray area. And you're trying to make these laws out of sand. You've got predominantly male lawmakers making laws for women protesters. And they have all these other pressures about that baby. That we did not get that job done right. And so we can't progress. We're not going to be able to watch high def on our standard def televisions. She's just saying what we have all been hearing. There was a time in the 70s, it's like, hey man, let's go solar, let's do that. And we're dumping everything into natural resources.
This country's far too young to die.
I held out as long as I could too. You know that, long after I felt legally obligated to report abuse of another human being. My wife was so concerned herself about the drug and would suddenly become just overcome with insecurity and ask me if do you think that Ambien's a problem? Enough doctor visits went by and I heard her say things and not be forthcoming about what was really going on. So I report it. And I have the protection of the law.
Like she's never soared before from distant shores. Let the mighty eagle soar.
So the law is on my side in some ways. But let's face it, I'm being punished for stepping out and saying no. That's abuse, and I won't be a part of it. In fact, I'm going to report it. It's my duty as another human. So you can tell, I will take whatever they have for me, whatever punishment you have for me to be a good Samaritan, because I'm a professional good Samaritan. My whole life shows a pattern of me being that person that is just simply on this earth to help other people. I want to say that in our dictionaries, we can see the progress that we need to make. When we talk about things like race, people, ethnicity, ethnic group, and nation are terms for a large body of persons who may be thought of as a unit because of common characteristics. Race is no longer in technical use as a biological or anthropological system of classification. In 1964, before many of us were even born, was the Civil Rights Act. And when I went to school, we didn't learn a lot about the Civil Rights Act, to be honest. I would bet that not a lot of people would be able to sum up what it's all about. The basic sum up that I have in front of me here is that it's a landmark civil rights and U.S. labor law in the United States that outlaws discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So I can already see problems with that. And I know that they finally came up, but it says nothing about people with disabilities. It doesn't say anything about age. And it shouldn't, because this is all flipped on its head. And I don't want to discount the years, the decades, the centuries, thousands of years of fighting, particularly for civil rights as it came to the color of skin. For what it's worth, this Civil Rights Act is embarrassing. The first words are wrong when they're trying to clarify a simpler term that's already pretty clear, that says all men are created equal, and men are men, women are men, men are men. We're all men. We have to get past all of that other stuff. I understand, as editors, we want to condense it into the best statement we can, and when they said all men are created equally, that's the goal. And then we have to get into Title I about voter protection and registration. We have to get into Title II about discrimination based on race and religion and color of skin in hotels, motels, restaurants, and theaters. No more segregation and different fountains for different people. No kidding, didn't it say all men are created? Nope. That's why we had to create Title III, to make sure people understood that that sentence meant you can't deny access, to public facilities. You can't have, this is the white park and this is the black park and this is the Christian park and this is the Mormon park. You can't do that unless you're in Utah. And Title IV encouraged the desegregation, again, of public schools. All right? That's crazy. You can't just have a church right there at a public school where only the Mormons go. Give me a break. Title V expanded the civil rights because it just wasn't enough. We need more. Let's see if we can get like 12 steps. That seems to be good. 12, 10, or top 10 seems to be happy. But we couldn't live with just a simple statement. We had to clarify it further. The Civil Rights Act of 1957 comes, hey guys, we tried this in 57, didn't we? There was some good stuff in there. Let's go back to 57. God help me, because there's still Title VI, and that prevents discrimination again, right? The other ones, and this one's just for programs and activities that receive federal funds. So guys like Trump can sit there and use this thing, Joker card, all day long. You have to know that just this week, Betsy DeVos, Trump's pick for secretary, is defunding Special Olympics. It is the policy of the United States that discrimination on the grounds of race, here we're using that wrong word again, color, or national origin, shall not occur in connection with the programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. Someone better say something about the disabled fast. Okay, so already we need to get all the Archie Bunker terms out of there because it's not race anymore in the definitions. That race, therefore, should no longer be considered as an objective category, as the term formerly was in expressions like the Caucasian race, the Asian race, the Hispanic race. Instead, for all you Orientals out there, if there's any of you left, oh God. Instead, if the reference is to a particular inherited physical trait, skin color, eye shape, I'm going to put eye shape in there so we don't think we're all just talking about skin color. That feature should be mentioned specifically, skin color and eye shape, okay? For all you Orientals out there. I'm sorry, it's an awful derogatory term. That's why I'm using it in that way. People still use it like they think they're using it correctly, and it's absolutely it's comical now to me. It is absolutely comical when people are just like, man, them Orientals are everywhere. I'm going to have to sit down and get a drink. God. Yeah, I don't know. It's better to be specific. Okay? The dictionary tells us South Korean. But, I think that it's just basically good enough, as long as we're just writing just a piece of paper, a document. God, I got to get back in there. Got to change race to... God, I don't even know what word to use now. This title declares it to be the policy of the United States that discrimination based on the grounds of where you came from and the color of your skin or national, why did you just leave it as national origin, shall not occur in connection with programs and activities receiving federal and financial assistance. I'm going to have to cut you guys off. Hey, we're not ending anything. We're just following the law. Those people are being discriminatory, so we're shutting them down. Title 6. Do I need to go on? Title 7. Title 6 is huge. There's entire people whose life revolve around Title 7. Title 9, which made it easier to move civil rights cases from state courts to federal court. And this was crucial so I don't want to understate it, but what's happening is it shouldn't be confused with the Title 9 of the Educational Amendment Act of 1972, which is why I did, which prohibits sex discrimination in the federally funded educational programs. Right? So there's other way in it, so girls basketball, all that stuff. As we were growing up, that was all mixed up. There were no girls basketball teams, and that's all mixed up. So they had to make more laws about it. Title 10, I don't even know. What does it do? Community relations, okay? Be nice to your friends. Title 10. That was supposed to be the last one, I think, at some point. They're like, let's just do a nice finale. God. Now, someone had to do Title 11 because, prisoners are men too. Men prisoners and women prisoners and children prisoners, they deserve some kind of punishment arising in all the other titles from all these things. Let's give him a jury trial too. All right, so that's enough background. And the rest of you, and all of us, have been here on this planet for this last few years to witness things go completely 180. And we're talking about marriages and what was happening in my early lifetime would never be possible today. We're talking about these gay marriages and the legalization and now recreational use of cannabis. People come to our resort, and I don't mean any disrespect to any of the other resorts in Colorado, but they basically, people, and they're not trying to be funny either. They're like, it smells like pot everywhere there at those resorts in Colorado. I'm like, what is wrong with that? Nobody wants to be around somebody who is lighting up a cigarette or, of course, a cigar or some sort of crazy pipe. Sometimes pipe tobacco is quite pleasant, but not a lot of guys puffing pipes anymore like that. And now we know they had to be putting some weed in there, but whatever. Now, these two things that we thought were absolutely impossible overnight just started happening. Civil rights, equal rights, reproductive rights, human rights. There are so many euphemisms. There are so many titles. There are so many people jumping up and down about this. Amendments to the Constitution. All of these titles saying that same thing over and over again. Redundancies. Saying, yeah, you guys haven't left out the white man, but there's all these other people that need these rights. And at all stages of their life. Kelly. Kate. So what I found is that there are rumors, Lisa, in other parts of the world of going to completely genderless constitutions. Rebecca. Wow. Becky, sound like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, those guys? Yes, probably. They don't get everything right, but damn it. That's what I want to talk about today, is getting that part right.
Stop there.
Boom, she just ends. She's awesome. Professor Siegel, everybody. Thanks that they keep this going, the William H. Leary Lecture. Now, Shell Dog knew it here.
Shell Dog knew it.
John Ashcroft's song, Backwards, with the words interpreted by Heavy Metal Prophecy, their version. Read him, oh sweet evil. Hear the own dog. I could sum up what was said here, but what makes most sense is condensing it, learning our lesson, and moving on. The problem is that Constitution is trapped under glass, and, to change just a sentence because some words are out of date, and, we could maybe clarify one sentence. If we could just make it a little more accessible, maybe more like a digital Constitution. Maybe it's early to start asking for a genderless constitution, but what about a constitution that's just digital? We can change it as easy as we change a Word doc. I'll be gross. Serve and see still. Her also. Weed the low. And it does get down to one person. At one time, it was Martin Luther, and another, it was Martin Luther King. It was Rosa Parks. Right now, it's our president, and he's doing the opposite. It's Betsy DeVos. These are all one person who did things that changed everything around them. And, you know, it's time. It really is. It's time for you, that one person, to do what you can today to make the world a more modern place, a better place, a happier place, a better place to seek happiness. That's our ultimate right. And we can't take that.
So we eat him. Sailor's mask and give him nuggets. Daytime beware, for we are still not you. Yeah, when you say war, oh dear neck.
Really, what I'm trying to do is now I'm going to flip this song back forwards again, but then my voice will be backwards. And it should, if their words are correct, sound. It should sound.
We've not yet begun to fly through this mighty was
As always, thanks for listening all the way to your new favorite show, Hot Roll. Donate to the show at paypal.me/Acme Singing Telegrams. Surprise me. Make my day.
God bless you.
Stay away and God bless you.